So there's something that's coming back that is always a favorite of mine and a favorite of many that I wanted to talk about, and that is
I know what this is going to be. Go ahead.
It has to do with kitty cats.
Oh, yeah. I win a monkey.
Lounge.
I guessed it. I win a monkey. Black Cat Lounge.
Yeah.
Black Cat Lounge is returning. It's pretty much the same footprint, which is pretty big, actually, for an adoption room.
It is.
Yeah, and cats are running around all crazy, and people love that. It's like they've never seen cats in their lives, which is amazing.
It's the novelty is just more than we can handle.
It's unbelievable, and it's everybody. It's not just little kids in there. Like, John Murdy was in there for like 30 minutes last year sitting down playing with these cats.
You'd have the Decade Brigade in full garb
Of course,
in there, just
right?
covered in
It's
kittens.
ridiculous. These little cats running around raising hell, and
They're magical.
it's amazing. It is so good. It is such a feel-good component of the show. Yes, they're back. We couldn't be more than happy to have them back. And so we're very excited. Black Cat Lounge is coming back. So let's talk about, because we want to get the word out so people are understanding what's going on. Like I said, when we said earlier that you don't get to choose your footprints.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, our biggest challenge, and there's always challenges, but the biggest challenge this year, new for 2018, is all along the thoroughfare downstairs where we had the past 2 years, the breakout rooms for all this stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that this year because that's another group has that, and they're going to be installing the entire weekend. So all of our breakout rooms, it's the same footprint, but it's upstairs. So everything is on the second level.
Yeah.
So the challenge we have is we are losing probably 60% of the width of our walkway.
Yeah.
So, no problem when it's empty. But when you have thousands of people streaming in to see these things, it is going to be challenging. So we're just asking people to bear with us. It's by far not by design. It's by far the biggest challenge that we know that we have this year. We are going to be looking very, very hard at how we are running the queues for each of these rooms on Saturday morning when people start lining up for things. Mm-hmm. By Sunday afternoon, we should have it down pat.
Yeah.
Always do.
Then it won't matter because then the show's over.
Yeah, usually by about 5 p.m.
Right?
Everything's
Everything's
like butter.
smooth. Yeah. So we are, and we're going to throw a lot of our White Bat volunteers at that. And we're just going to do the very best that we can do. And we've at least half the battle is identifying what that problem is going to be. And so we've identified that is absolutely going to be a problem
child. It will be a little smushed up there.
The good thing is there's a few stairwells to get access as well, besides just the escalators.
There are stairwells, and we're going to look at maybe running some of the queues up the stairwell like that. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at different options for that kind of thing. And the one thing that we do have that really I think kind of sets us apart too is our volunteer staff.
Yes.
Our volunteer team, which we call the White Bats, they're amazing. And we really are fanatical about having nothing shy of exemplary customer service and guest service. I've got a theme park background. Right out of high school, I started working at Disneyland, and I've worked at Knott's Berry Farm at Disneyland, and I work in themed entertainment now. And so that is just something that we have kind of instilled. Sierra Skelton, who is our queen white bat that oversees all these volunteers, she understands how important the customer service is. So we go through a very rigorous, like a lot of conventions will just say, okay, well, if you want a volunteer, show up and we'll give you a t-shirt and show you in 10 minutes what you're going to do and stand all day. Don't chew gum. Thank you. We go through a very rigorous screening process. We've already had one, which shit gets really real when you start having your orientations. We had one orientation this last weekend. We're about to have another orientation. We haven't had 2 this year because we have so many.
It's 2 separate groups?
We have over 200 volunteers this year. We have a virtual army for us. So we're looking to get 250 volunteers, which is that's a huge amount of dedication right there.
You're going to need them.
Yeah, but it's great, and it's mission critical to us that every one of them be as best equipped as they possibly can to handle anything that comes their way. Mm-hmm. Because we could plan this stuff night and day to be perfect, but you know what? Without our frontline people, that show won't go. Yep. So we are very keenly aware of that. And I think there are a lot of conventions that don't put a lot of emphasis on that. It's just about getting bodies in and taking the tickets, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
No, we want every guest to come and have a really great experience at Midsummer. And that really starts and ends with our front line.
It does. When you invest that time and that energy into the customer one-on-one, they will come back.
Yeah, so we're very proud of that, and we're gonna throw a whole I was going to say buttload, but I guess it's batload of volunteers.
Well done.
First of all, getting people in at the beginning of the day, and also then figuring out how those queues are going to run upstairs. Yeah. That's our challenge, and we're aware of that. So just bear with us. The white bats are on it, and we're watching that.
And then you've got the ballrooms that are up there as well. So you're going to have a lot of traffic going through between the breakout sessions and then
everything up. Yeah, the entire upper deck. Yes, I said upper deck. Yeah. The entire upper deck is going to be used this year. We have Horror Buzz is doing the Screaming Room again. We also have another performance stage up there that we've called Theater Macabre. Mm-hmm. Is going to be up there with programming all day, and then of course the Grand Ballroom is up there for the big presentations. And our after party, which we'll get into in a second. Mm-hmm. But we also, I would be remiss not to mention, we have Force of Nature. They're coming back with a theatrical production that kind of is a teaser as to what they're going to do in the LA area this Halloween. And then, of course, we have Zombie Joe. They're coming back. Zombie Joe's group is going to do, it's going to be Urban Death again, which people love. And it's crazy on so many levels. And so we're excited to have both Force of Nature and Zombie Joe returning to us again. They've been wonderful partners of ours, and people love their productions. And that's really good stuff too. Really excited about that. Our second stage is up there as well. Mm-hmm. Second stage holds 500 people. Main stage holds 2,000. So those are our two big stages. And then that's where, like I said, that's where our party's going to be. Yeah. So that's Midsummer Scream After Dark. That's something that, the funniest thing is, even in the days of doing Scare LA, when we did Scare LA, you would think that the easiest component would be putting together a party. Turn on music really loud, sell booze, dance. Yeah. Line it up, watch it go. That's not the case. Yeah. That's not the case. It's always been just kind of like a conundrum, like what the hell do we do? Yeah. To bring people in, to keep them there, to keep them happy, to keep them entertained. And, with Midsummer Scream, there's 5 of us at the executive level, and each one of us has a very different idea of what's an important component to a party type of thing. Yeah. So like our first year, when we agreed to do Midsummer Scream, something that I had always wanted to do was have Oingo Boingo play. Mm-hmm. And so I think because the team was happy that I had said yes, that we would do Midsummer Scream type thing. David Markland was very good about saying, okay, if you want Oingo Boingo, go get Oingo Boingo. And I did. We brought them in, and it was the Oingo Boingo dance party. It's everybody but Danny. And except Steve Bartek, unfortunately, got really sick and couldn't be there, but the band was still amazing. Mm-hmm. And it was phenomenal. And that was in our grand ballroom. That's where we had the party. It was great. Yeah. And there were a lot of people for that. But, even though I'm like the biggest Boingo fan in the world, there are a lot of people that don't know Oingo Boingo. They're not necessarily huge hardcore fans. So the party was great, but it was also kind of niche.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It was a hell of a time. It was great, but it was niche.
Yeah.
So then the second year, we're like, well, what the hell are we going to do? So we had Queen Mary produce the party. Mm-hmm. And there were some logistical issues with that party, across the street that were out of our control. And it was, again, a learning curve in that if you don't have like full control over the facilities and everything, then there could be issues that your hands are tied. And so there was a lot of learning with that last year. And of course we love our partners at Dark Harbor. It's one of those things where a lot of people showed up, and it was a party.
Yeah,
it was a party.
But it's hard when you've got so many moving parts, different machines working at once.
Yeah, so that was complicated. So we knew that we wanted to bring it back in house. We want people to be familiar with the surroundings already. Not make it logistically difficult for people to get there, especially in costume. If they're wearing elaborate costumes, the last thing you want to do is schlep into an Uber or whatever and go. So we wanted it at the convention center because a lot of people are staying within walking distance and that type of thing, or wearing their costumes there to the convention. So David Markland was actually the one, and Claire Dunlap. They wanted more than just drinking and dancing to a DJ. if you've been to a TPA mixer, I'm pretty good with that. Let's just play music and booze, and it's a party. We have a good time. And so we really emphasized, Johanna and I were kind of on the same page where it was like, we just want a really good DJ, and we just want to have a lot of dancing and networking. Networking. It's very important, I think, at these parties, because a lot of the haunters get together, and whether they're old friends or new friends, or, hey, let's talk about maybe doing something together, whatever type of thing. There's got to be a lot of networking. So then we talked about, well, it's got to then be on the outer portion also, outside the ballroom. There's got to be a place for people to talk to, hang out and have drinks and network and just rest. Oh my God, so much walking, right? Yeah. So just want to sit down and rest, And, but David was very adamant about, I want it to be more than just a drinking and dance party. And so he and I, you become family when you do these things. So you get to the point where you're not worried about kind of like going rounds with each other about things. And David and I were like, I kept telling him, look, you're overthinking this. A successful party, really, if you just put good music and have libations and place for people to sit and talk and have a good time, that's all it really wants to be. That's a party. That's a party. And David kept pushing. He's like, no, there's got to be more. Got to be more to it. I'm like, dude, I don't see what else we can do. So then anyway, we meet for lunch, and he comes in and he sits down and he looks at me and he goes, all right, so I have my pitch. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, God, here it comes. I'm going to hate this because it's going to be so complicated. And he rolled out the idea for Midsummer Scream After Dark, and it was fantastic. He wanted to activate a lot of the rooms along the upper deck up there and do alternate programming to people that don't necessarily want to dance or hang out with it. Mm-hmm. So we have, in the screaming room, we're going to have Child's Play playing, and Tom Holland he was the director of it and co-writer. He's going to do live narration and commentary through the whole thing, which is fantastic, right? Brilliant. We've got Mud the Magnificent. He's going to do an adults only magic show, which is going to be fun. And just like to have those extra activations going up there, was really genius, I thought. Wait a minute, that's great, because he's like, we're paying the same for the rooms. Why aren't we activating them at night?
Yeah, because you said you have them all day.
Yeah, of course. So you're paying for them, right? So why not use them? So when I was sitting there grimacing, going, oh, God, here comes the pitch, I was really excited. Like 10 seconds in, I was like, yes, we're doing this.
Wow.
That's great.
And so, it came out great. So if you come and you drink way too much and dance and it's a blur, you can thank Johanna and me for that. And and if you come and see things like the cool Child's Play screening and hang out and see, you can thank David for that. And you can thank the rest of the team for the whole damn party.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Gary Baker and the Call Brothers for doing the awesome AV system throughout the entire show, plus in the party, that's going to be the same thing. Mm-hmm. Yes. The main stage sound system becomes the party sound system. So they do amazing. They've been with us since day one of Scare LA. Wow. And then when we came to do Midsummer, Gary became our executive producer, and the Call Brothers came and brought all their AV wizardry with us.
They really do have
I think that we have the best. I think we have the best AV out of any convention anywhere. I mean, our AV is amazing for our main stage. It's unbelievable what they do. So huge shout out to them too.
Yeah.
My God, this is a complex thing. So is there anything that we haven't...
well, we haven't talked about classes at all. So,
oh my goodness.
SoCal Valley Haunters are going to be doing their usual classes with the
make and take
lanterns, the
great make and takes that they do.
Gravestones.
Yeah.
I think there's a flicker box or something you can make. So I think you just have to pay for the materials, right? And then you get to take whatever you make home.
That's right. You make your souvenir, and it's usable.
Yeah.
Which is really great. That's good stuff. We love them. They've been great with us also from the beginning.
So then we got DMX for fog and lighting. So if you want to learn how to program your fog and lighting for your haunt, there's a class. Cosplay on a budget. We got Halloween flower arrangements. This one's pretty interesting. It's called And They Will Touch You, Physical Contact Guidelines for Immersive Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's one that I've never seen any other haunt convention do. And who do you have running it?
So Josh Randall from Blackout is going to be on that. And
a good poll.
Right. So the thing is that is actually, I believe Johanna pulled that one together.
Yeah.
And I don't sound like Johanna, so I can't pretend to be Johanna. But it's one of those things where, more and more haunts these days, there is there is physical contact.
Yeah.
And not like, I'm going to check your prostate physical contact, but I mean, there's maneuvering, there's moving you around the room, whatever type of thing. And when it comes to a full contact haunt like that, or experience, a lot of them don't want to be called haunts, a lot of them are experiences.
Yes.
Blackout kind of has always led that pack as far as they really, really care about the well-being of each of their patrons. And they get to know these people, and it just was a no-brainer to have Josh on that. And that's I think a really interesting one, because again, it's relevant. Every haunt is doing that these days.
Well, even I even did an escape room where there was an element of that.
Everybody yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of it now. I mean, that's it, with or without waivers. I mean, you're getting touched usually by some actor at some point in the mazes. So it's important that people know how to do this right.
Yes.
Because whether you are a quote-unquote extreme haunt, or whether you are a immersive theatrical experience, you got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to have a fist sandwich, and you're going to have lawsuits, and no one's going to be happy at the end of the day. So, we thought that was really cool to bring that to Midsummer this year.
Definitely. It's a good concept.
And then there's 2 other panels, or classes, I guess. They're kind of like panel classes. I don't know.
Seminar is a good word for that.
There we go.
Right?
Discussion.
Seminars.
So you have split personalities, finding your path in the theme park and the haunt industry.
Yes.
And living in the dark, which is acting for haunted attractions.
Yeah.
Both of those are amazing.
So
really
Scott
excited about
Swenson's
that
coming from Florida to do that, which is great. We've got actually a really decent East Coast and Florida, presence this year, which is the ultimate goal. The end game for Midsummer is having haunters and haunts represented from all corners. Coming to Midsummer, where they will be front and center. There we go.
There you go.
That's the end game. So Scott's been fantastic. Scott came last year and was so excited about Midsummer. We talked to him, when we were back for IAPA, and he was like, "Oh my God, I want to do anything. Let me do something for Midsummer next year." And so we've been talking to Scott for a long time, and he's so freaking awesome. So that's going to be great. And then we have Cassie and Dave. They're going to be doing the getting into the theme park. They both work in the industry. So it's one thing so this was an interesting one, because it's the world that I live in. I work professionally in the themed entertainment industry, and so does Johanna. And so when this was brought up, this is kind of an insider view on how we do things. For me, I'm always kind of like the gatekeeper as to how does it bridge to our mission statement? How is it a Halloween thing? How's it? And, the team said, "Oh yeah, let's do this class about, seminar. Let's do this," because you're not taking anything away. It's not a class. So, let's do something about, getting into the themed entertainment industry. And I'm like, well, yeah, but like 90% of that isn't haunted attraction stuff, And so the happy medium was, let's get these 2 in here that do work on that end of thing. Cassie works on Halloween Horror Nights. Dave's worked on, things, like the Willows and stuff like this. And I said, let's make sure that that's represented. And then, yes, if you want to talk about how else to get in, that's fine. But we had to have that bridge.
Yeah.
So we kind of hemmed and hawed about that one. And you'd think that I would be the first person to say, "Yeah, let's do a theme park one." I was actually probably the last on board with that one.
You're really aware of keeping the train on the track.
I was.
Yeah.
I was. Probably to an annoying level at this point, because the whole team wanted to do this, and I was like,
You have to, though.
But then when it came down to who was going to do this, then I was all on board.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was, I think I pushed for Cassie pretty early on this, because I'm a big fan of hers and her work, and can't talk about what she does, because then she would be killed and I would get killed, and you can't do that because the industry is so secretive. But no, so we're very comfortable with that, and people are really excited about that. During our orientation this last weekend, we get an overview of what we're going to offer, and that one actually, from our volunteers, people were cheering. They're like, "Oh, that's so cool!" So that I think is going to be actually really popular.
I think that one's going to be very popular, because the kids who are interested in haunted entertainment are likely, if they're in the area, maybe they're annual pass holders, maybe they're into that kind of thing. And if they're at a pivotal point in their life where they want to decide what they want to do, and they see a class like this, and they have the opportunity to be exposed to that, that could be a game changer for them. They could decide to go into that as a career.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very impactful, even though it's only a portion of it is related to, you know, the backbone of the whole convention.
Yeah.
It's still very important.
Yeah, so I think what that was also born out of was, so the first 2 years that we did Midsummer, I did a theme park-centric presentation. First year was scary attractions, and we had Tony Baxter and Phil Hedema and Susan Bonds, and that was a really great presentation. And then last year we did the Tower of Terror presentation, which was awesome. Freaking awesome. I loved that. It had a great time. And then David, of course, very early on when we're talking, he's like, "So what are you going to do to top that?" And I'm like, And then, you know, there are few attractions out there that really cater to what we do, you know? Yeah. And so we did, like I said, the first 3 years we did Scare LA, like every freaking year we did a Haunted Mansion type of presentation. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, look, we've beaten Mansion into the ground. I said, now look, 2019, Mansion has a big anniversary coming up, so... Well, maybe that's a little exclusive there, but you know. So I said, let's hold off on Mansion until it has a big anniversary. Then we can go.
There you go.
Then we can go gangbusters on Mansion again. So I told him, I said, look, dude, I don't. That's one thing I'm very adamant about, and the team agrees. You never want to do square pegs, right? You don't want to just force something in there just because you've had a theme park panel for 2 years. Doesn't mean that you have to have a theme park panel every year. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to feel, if it's not natural and if it's not organic, man, everyone's going to call bullshit on you. They're going to know that it was checking a box. I am so not into checking boxes with this thing. I just, to me, that is not fun. When it becomes mechanical like that, I'm tapping out because it's not fun that way.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you an idea. How about the extraterrestrial alien encounter?
So we talked about that. We talked about that year one with Susan Bond. She was the creator of that.
I know. I would love to see a panel on how that actually got into the Magic Kingdom.
So we talked about all that in that panel, which you can find online, I'm sure. Yeah. But you see, it's crazy, right? Yeah. It's like there's not a whole lot that neatly fits into that box, right? So, an Alien Encounter was, God, Jesus, that was such a fluke. Yeah. That was the weirdest attraction I think I've probably ever experienced. And it was just so much even fun, weirder that it was at a Magic Kingdom. Yeah. You know, it wasn't even at Universal and all horrifying. No, it was at the Magic Kingdom with crying little kids. Right. It was amazing. So, brilliant. But yeah, so that was the whole thing. So, this class kind of came out of, well, we have the theme park crowd there, obviously. Yeah. Let's do something for the theme park crowd. And so I got off light. I'm only doing one presentation this year, and it's on stage 2. Yay! So, because it is fairly terrifying to be up there in front of 2,000 people, you know, doing a major panel. But so that's where that class kind of came from.
And the rest of the weekend, you can find him at the Sinister Point Bar or
quality
the
checking.
Video.
Yeah, quality assurance, checking that stuff.
And
I'll be
VIP
all over the
of
place.
The K Brigade shows for sure.
So what I also wanted to say, because we've talked about classes and all that, people that have been fans of ours and coming for the last couple of years, if you go to the site, you'll recognize there's not a plethora of classes this year. That's because with this footprint that we had this year, we lost a lot of class space. Yeah. So it is but isn't a bait and switch in that we think a lot of the attention from, there aren't as many classes, is going to be completely sucked up and obliterated by, holy shit, look how big Hollow Shadows is and how much more stuff there is to do, you know, that way. So it's kind of a distraction, like, but look at this shiny new toy, you know, type of thing.
I don't think anyone's going to see it like that. I think that the content
but
is
internally,
robust.
That's how we agonize over every little detail about this. And that's at least how we talked ourselves down. Because it was one of those things where, well, we can have this layout, but it's got to be this weekend. You can have this layout, but it's got to be that weekend. And it's just like, ugh. So there was nothing perfect this year. And this stuff, we're talking like a year out. Like we already know what we're getting next year. Yeah. That's how far in advance this stuff is.
Well, last year when you were here, you were telling us about what 2018 was going to hold. That you had already figured all that stuff out, and now we're here.
Yeah. Yep. And I can tell you, we're already definitely well rolling on 19. So we will have classroom space and everything again, next year. So this year a little thin on the classes, but the classes that we do have and seminars are fantastic. I think they're really fantastic, and I think that they really cater to a wide swath of people.
Yeah, I think it's a good.
Yeah, right.
And it
Like
could
people that are
increase the
fans.
volume of those classes as well, because last year there were so many classes, the attendance wasn't necessarily that high.
Sure.
But this time it gives the opportunity for, the presenter in that class to feel pretty good, because those classes are probably going to be pretty good.
Well, absolutely. So you're going to have, and like I said, there's something for everyone. Yeah. So somebody that wants to learn about, I kind of want to work in the theme park industry, whatever, they can do that. And it's casual, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to have somebody that's going to learn how to do show control. That's a little advanced.
It is.
I don't know how to do that shit. So it's like, that's like one of those things where it's like, that's pretty damn cool that we're able to do that type of, spectrum.
Yeah. And there is a market for that oddly, specific technical type of thing. Like, there are people out there who really want to know how that works. Yeah. And this is the perfect venue for them to get that, other than YouTube.
Yeah. So it's great. So we think that the great package about Midsummer is just, there literally is something for everyone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've got, we've got the children's area again on the show floor, which is going to be great.
I love that.
We've got so much program for that. Mm-hmm. Connor does that. She's wonderful. She's going to do it again this year, and Buster Balloon's going to be there doing stuff. And cool. That's going to be really, really great. There literally is something for everyone. Whether you just want to go and shop, there's going to be so many vendors. Yeah, and if you want to just go for the haunts and all that, we've got an entire weekend worth of stuff, in Hall of Shadows for you to do.
Speaking of,
let's talk about another component. Well, let's talk about another component in the Hall of Shadows.
Well, this goes hand in hand with that.
Okay, okay.
We'll mean Bridget.
Oh, well, here we go.
So here's an exclusive.
Who's Bridget?
Yeah, who's Bridget?
Oh, now you're in trouble, Casey. Now look what I did.
You guys don't know her.
All right.
She's a friend.
We are actually, the Decay Brigade is making a Midsummer Scream exclusive t-shirt.
Wow.
And for the first time ever, it's going to have color on it.
Wow.
We
so there you go.
Afraid of bright
That's
colors.
fantastic.
It's not going to be black and white. The logo on the back is actually going to have the Midsummer Scream colored orange circle around it. And it's going to have a special Midsummer Scream logo.
How cool is that?
So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're very excited about that.
Yeah, we want to do more of a collector's item thing where they have to attend this event and they have to attend it this year and they'll get this.
And you see them, whenever I go to Knott's or other places, you certainly throughout the entire year, you see people sporting your rags, man.
It's a little weird when you see it.
It's the Midsummer. It's the Decay Brigade army that's out there.
Yeah.
You see it, right? You see it out there, and there are fans that are so dedicated to you guys. Mm-hmm. So to be married with those two, that's pretty damn cool, you guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the designs of the clothes is just sick. I mean, as clothing, you don't even have to be a fan. It's a really cool looking shirt.
Yeah,
and the
that's
designs
cool.
that they've come up with over the years are always so
and
cool.
Every year we have new, like, there's tweaks to it every year. And this year I think are really amazing looking.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I want to see this. I want to see this shirt you speak of. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then you're going to do a little show.
Oh,
You're going to do 3 shows, actually.
Yeah, we'll carry on that theme. Last year we did 3 shows. I think we've been doing 3 shows a day. In prior years, they haven't necessarily been thematically connected.
Right.
Last year was, I believe, the first time that we did one story that went over the 3 different segments. And like we gab on about it all the time on the podcast. But what's a little unique, I guess you could say, this year is we were talking about our shows have some new showrunners. And this year is the first time ever that we have female showrunners. And
now, for the kids at home, what's a showrunner?
Oh, sorry. It might not be a term appropriate, but when I think of showrunner, I think of it like the person, you're basically like directing, producing, writing. You're in charge of making sure the show happens.
They're driving it creatively.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. So you've got people who contribute, like Casey's our sound engineer. He's the one who advises us. He's our sound department, basically. Mm-hmm. And then we've got, every member of the team is part of, basically are like what I would call second AD. Like they wrangle each other and they help each other and they choreograph each other. Right. And I've got me, Ruth, and Naomi are all in charge of one show. And it has been a wild experience. It's been like, I came from a dance background of, something like 15 years as a dancer. So I was really comfortable with choreography and improvisation and spatial awareness, yada, yada, yada. So now I'm working with two people who have two completely different backgrounds and different musical tastes and different interpretations of how they slide physically and how they interpret sliding into movement. So like all these different flavors coming together to make our show. And I'm really excited because we finally built the track to which we will be sliding on the show that we're building. Yeah. And it was a long process for us because we had never done anything like this before.
And it was interesting for me because it's exciting to have the ladies be in charge of a show because we've never done that. But I also didn't want to influence them in any way because like I have my ideas on how to do things and I know how we do it when I get with the guys and we kind of sit there and hammer out a show. I wanted them to really come up with their own ideas and I didn't want to influence those. So it was a different process for me because I was much more taking a back seat. Yeah. And just letting things happen and fall into place as they will.
For better or worse. And it's interesting, like, my ear and Casey's ear can hear the difference in sophistication in the music selection from what we have picked compared to what others who are way more experienced at this have picked. And that's not saying that the show we built isn't awesome and isn't going to be fantastic, because it will be fantastic. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm working with some really strong talent. It's that I can tell because they're a little bit easier to grab a hold of. And they're easier to envision. Like it's a more clean line. It's a little less nuanced. It's stuff like that the audience does not give a rat's ass about. But like we hear the difference. And like I wouldn't change it. I think that as it is the show that we wanted to write. But I think now that we've written that show, at least from the sound perspective, if we were to do it again, we would actually pick different music. And I think we would tell a little bit more robust of a story. But again, we were working in kind of a limited time frame. Sure. It wasn't, not like it was sprung on us like, here you go, good luck. Like we had support and we opted to accept this responsibility. Sure. But, like with everything else, time just slips away. And it snuck up really quick. We are technically on schedule because our other two shows were written by dudes who have done it before and are really good. And they just flew through it. And they're like solid. And they were solid weeks ahead of schedule, which granted us some time to, write the extra pieces we need to write. There are some elements that we were talking about before that have never been part of a sliding show ever that we can actively think of. And so we had to consider that as well. So it was like a little stressful, a little bit of stuff that we had to seriously figure out on the fly. And we're still actively doing it, but we're able to incorporate basically our day jobs are able to incorporate into what we've been able to build. Yeah. So that's been super fun. I can't wait for the audience to see what we're doing. And I think it's going to add an extra layer of sauce onto the shows that you didn't realize you were missing it. And now that you're going to see it, you're going to be like, where was that before? It should be there forever. It's just going to be such an important part of it. So
I think it's great. I think that having the three of you ladies doing one of the shows, I think that's really cool because this is absolutely a male dominant industry. And so like I've said and we'll say a million times, I'm not into checking boxes, but the fact that you guys actually did one of your shows and it's all girl power, creating the show, I think that that's pretty badass. And I think that there are a lot of people listening to this that are going to be like, hell yeah. I think that I didn't mean to go in a falsetto, but I was just kind of like, hell yeah. I think that that's really cool and that's really important. And so for those kids playing at home, what segment number is it? So they can, if they watch all of them, they'll know which one you guys did.
I almost don't want them to know which one because I don't want them to adjust their hearing of the show to try to figure out, like, knowing, oh, the girls did that one. Can totally tell the girls did that one. Like, and it's just going to be them influencing it. I kind of want it to just ride because musically, tonally, I do not think that they will be able to tell the difference. Okay. I really don't. I actually would think that if they were to guess, I'm not even going to say which one I think it would be. But I want to see. But actually, I take that back. I think once they see the show in progress, they may actually be able to figure it out.
Well, let's do this. Let's hash this out right now.
Okay.
After Midsummer, after we all wake up, let's reconvene here.
Okay.
I'll talk about my experience from behind the scenes running things. You guys talk about your experience during the shows, and then you reveal which show number you did.
That sounds great.
Is that cool?
That sounds fun.
That's a promise.
There you go. That's how podcasting magic is made.
And then when they're listening to it in 2020 and they're listening to backlogged episodes, they can skip from this one into the next one.
Like a time warp.
Yep.
It'd be like movie magic.
It's just a jump to the left. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But what I love about this, and it was kind of inadvertent at first, was that we've accepted that women do not dominate like the haunted industry at all, but sliding particularly, and I go on rants about this all the time, but like we just, like not a lot of ladies find it fun or, interesting, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we've kind of taken it that extra step. Like we do stunts, big ones, difficult ones, that like the girls that we have on our team are doing things that I like don't see a lot of male sliders doing.
Sure.
And that makes me really proud and I'm happy for us. But the extra level of there's throwing down tricks and then there's building a show. And if you're into that kind of thing and you really like to perform, this is that level up that, you hope someday to get the chance to do.
Of course.
And it was kind of handed to us, and we've been so panicked trying to get it done right, that I found it really hard to enjoy just the idea that, holy shit, I'm writing a show that there are like thousands of people who watch our videos and just adore us. And thousands of, I'm like, not thousands, that's a huge exaggeration, maybe like dozens of women, girls, who watch the ladies in Decade Brigade and are like, oh my God, girls can do this too.
Yeah.
And like, we could impact that. And that's pretty damn cool. But when you're in the throes of it, you don't have time to appreciate that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You do in moments like this, but like, when we're done here, I got to do more work on the show. Like, it's just like you hit back to it, just like with you. It never turns off.
Yeah.
And like sliding year round, I think about sliding. But this is the first time I've thought about like a show just all the time.
And I love what you said about the girls. There are a lot of girls that watch this stuff and look up to that. And that's great. I mean, and yes, predominantly male.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I've been covering Scary Farm since '94. And so, I mean, if I think back about the years of just like watching Ghost Town evolve and the different areas, you've got your Camille's, your Trish, your Allie, like on one hand, I can count female sliders, right? Yeah. And now, thanks, I think a lot also to Decade Brigade, there's like so many female sliders that are getting into this.
Yeah.
That's something you guys should be really, really proud of because that's really cool.
I'm really happy to see them sliding, and I would want to encourage them to go past just hitting the ground. Because, like, when you're a girl and you throw on those pads, like, there's a couple of stigmas that get thrown on you pretty quick. And you have to build, you have to fight past those. You have to identify your own character through all of that. And, if you're a girly girl, you still want to maintain that girly girl while doing something aggressive. Like, so many layers to it. But a lot of gals get good enough and then hold it there. Because it is pretty damn cool to be a lady slider. And that's good enough for a lot of people. Yeah. But there's so much more potential. Yeah. And I would love to see more chicks just throw down a little harder. Don't be afraid to get bruised. I mean, you're gonna heal. If you break a bone, it's gonna heal. Like, you will be fine. Just throw yourself at the ground. Jump off the ground as high as you can. Don't be afraid to fall. Like this whole, so many different movements going on. It's like, don't be afraid to fall.
That's awesome. That's like a round table. That is a Tales from the Fog podcast. You should do a round table with the girls on the Decade Brigade.
I'd like to.
And talk about that. That would be a great episode.
We've been planning to get all the members. We've gotten, 2, 3.
But I think I think having the girls talk about that, I think that would be really great to listen to everybody talk about that.
It would be neat to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it would be neat. Maybe people would be like, God, these broads again.
No, I think it would be great. I'm totally down to listen. I think that would be really great. Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting. And like, I have kind of a thing where I don't like to capitalize on the fact that I'm a woman in a man's sport.
I totally get it. What I mean? Totally get it. Totally get it.
There's a novelty to it, and like, I do reap benefits of it a lot. And I try to be as aware of that as possible. And I don't want to exploit that. But I do realize that I'm not alone. And there are, things that we go through that dudes don't have to worry about.
Yep.
Like there's things like, things that girls have to worry about, that are things that dudes would be like, well, why do you care about that? Like, it's not important. So in this sport and then so many other sports as well.
In everything. Like, I'm just thinking while you're talking about this, completely parallel universe, but years ago, I worked for Renee West, who was the CEO of Excalibur in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. She was the first female CEO at a strip resort ever in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And it was one point that she very, very rarely would address during interviews. She just didn't want to talk about it. She's like, I'm just doing my job like any other CEO.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a dude's world, but she was one of the best CEOs I've ever worked for in my life. She was freaking amazing. Mm-hmm. And it was great in that, like you said, you don't particularly want to showcase or spotlight that on one hand. And so in that industry, just in every industry, I think there are leaders that it's not about what sex you are. Mm-hmm. It's just about getting the job done and being part of it and doing it.
Exactly.
That said, it was pretty damn cool that she was the first female, casino executive,
it's really hard
CEO
not
like that,
to be
right?
proud. Yeah.
And so the same thing with sliders, and especially like when you're at the level of Decade Brigade, and other ones like Queen Mary,
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that has sliding teams, there are sliders at Magic Mountain also. I mean, they're all over the place now. Mm-hmm. And so I think that it is important to maybe spotlight or showcase is the wrong term, right? Maybe you want to just appreciate and just, take occasional note mm-hmm. of, hey, you know what? Mm-hmm. We're doing this and we're doing it really damn well.
Yeah.
So I think that is important too.
There was a phrase I heard from a friend of one of the Decade Brigade monsters, and they came up to me, and it was a slider that, was just very accustomed to manly sliding, and he went up to him, he's like, damn, that girl can throw down. And I was mm-hmm. like, I don't think he saw me as a girl at that point. I think he saw me as a slider. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter, what gender you are. It just mattered that, can you throw down?
Yeah.
And like, that's all that mattered. I thought that for some reason stopped me in my tracks.
Another interesting thing that happened was with Six Flags Over Texas when we went out there.
Yeah, I love that you guys did that.
They, one of the first things that they realized when they watched the videos of the Decade Brigade is that the women, while being aggressive, were still looked like women, and they had always dressed their female sliders like men.
Yep.
And so one of the first things they did was they got rid of all of the female costumes that they currently had and put them in much more female-centric costuming. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was amazing, like, mm-hmm. Showcase them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was this odd thing, like, you couldn't be feminine and slide. And, like, the early days, to be an aggressive, we're talking Ghost Town, because that's all that there was.
Yeah.
You had to blend in as, like, a feminine type of character in order to kind of pull off that style of scaring. Mm-hmm. And like that, way early days, and it evolved to where we were able to come up with costuming to accommodate a slightly more feminine feel. But even like you look at this, like the saloon girls, they had the skirts that were longer in the back and shorter in the front that lent themselves to sliding. But the characters, or the people who were cast in those roles, were not sliding characters. They weren't gruesome. They were saloon girls. They were adorable and demure and a very different personality than someone who would be a slider.
Yeah.
So it was like you just didn't see that mix of the feminine with that aggressive slide tactic with the fast moves and the in and out and bebopping. It was just, and it's still hard. Like finding the outfit that Nani has now with the black dress and everything took a really long time because I wanted it to be functional, but I wanted her to be feminine as hell. I wanted it to look like a cartoon character. And she does. She looks like an anime character.
Yeah.
But like that goal to make her look just as dainty and unassuming and delicate as possible so that when, it flipped, it just seemed like the greatest juxtaposition. But at the same time, it still made sense. You're like, yeah, I could see that. I could see that thing going crazy and then being from there to over there in 2 seconds. Like that just seemed really important. And Naomi's character as well is like, it's very feminine. The lines are a little bit sharper and it's a little bit more of an aggressive look, but it is clearly feminine.
Yeah.
And she's throwing down like crazy.
Yeah.
And then Ducky's just adorable. She's figured out the perfect mix of like comfort and function with her outfit.
Little overalls.
Yeah. But it's like, do dudes think about that stuff? I mean, I don't know. Like, do guys think about like, am I going to look cute in this when I go to slide on my hands and knees?
No, probably not.
In fact, a lot of times I think I probably fell because my costuming would get caught on my knee pads, and I was like, maybe I should think about my costuming a little more.
Sure, right?
After you fall a few times and your costume gets stuck under your pads and you instantly face plant, you're like, well, maybe I should do something about that.
That's so fun. I see, we come from different worlds.
Yeah.
We're like, how cute am I going to look?
Well, I think it's great, and we are so excited to have you guys return once again to Midsummer, and we're grateful. You guys do so much. People come and they'll watch you for 15 minutes and be like, "Oh, that was great," and they don't realize just how much hard work and just continuous effort you're out there at the park practicing, and it's hotter than the hubs of hell, and just it's so much more work than I would ever do. I mean, physically or just being like into it like that much. It's like so physically grueling what you guys do that every member of the Midsummer team is well aware and completely grateful to you guys for what you do. And it's an honor actually to have you guys, come back to Midsummer as one of the big showpiece components. You guys bring a lot of life and death to to the Hall of Shadows, and we love that about the Decay Brigade.
I think the love has to go back the other way, because without you, the Decay Brigade wouldn't exist. And now we're pretty much doing shows year round almost.
Well, I think it's great, and it's synergy, and at the end of the day, it's made the community as a whole better. So it's then job well done all around, right? If the community now has something that is a newer component to it that people really love and learn from and get inspired from, they'll be the sliders of tomorrow, and 50% of them will be women.
I hope so.
Then we've all done our jobs, right? And we can just at the end of the day be very satisfied. With the trails that have been blazed here with this stuff. So we're excited to have you.
I'm excited to be there.
Yay.
We think about it all year.
Good.
So Midsummer Scream, it's July 28th and 29th.
29th.
2018. You can still get tickets. You can still get your gold bat tickets.
That's right.
Midsummer Scream.
As of now, they're going fast. So buy those tickets, because you know what? If we sell out, we're going to sell out. I mean, it's a possibility. Every year the show gets more. We're going to have more than 20,000 people this year.
My goodness.
That's a lot of people.
And the first time that I've actively seen, I'm sure people have come from other states before, but I've actually actively been seeing people post like, hey, I'm coming from Texas. I'm coming from Florida. I'm coming,
We're getting
really
more and
neat to
more.
see.
Yeah, we're getting more and more coming. Like I said, we've got some Florida representation coming. So I'm sure that Florida fans are going to come out. Ricky Briganti's coming out to participate. Scott Swenson's coming out to participate. So definitely some big Orlando presence coming out. So I'm sure fans will follow for that. And we know that there are not a lot, but there are a few people that come internationally to see the show.
Crazy.
So,
That's so great.
I mean, as we grow, and we will grow, it's the fan base just gets bigger and wider, and it's so cool, and it's very exciting to see that, right?
It is so cool to see it happen. Something that seemed like such a tiny little niche thing has turned into something with not hyperbole, global popularity.
It's a big deal.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm excited to see 5 years from now how big this thing is. It's going to be massive.
it's pretty gnarly, right? Yeah.
We're going to do our sliding show from the roof.
There you go. They're going to start from jumping out of the airplane at 20,000 feet. Then they're going to land on their runway.
No joke, I actually had a stunt in mind where we were talking about it, and I wanted to build a slider platform off of the edge of a cliff and do a slide into a base jump.
God.
You're an insane person, but that does give me an idea. What if somebody were to rappel from the ceiling to come down?
I don't know.
Just a little quick little harness.
No.
Hook it up there. You can have someone on belay that you can't see and just lower them down, Matrix style.
Yeah.
Don't know. Yeah.
2019. Can we get some?
I don't know what
It'll
that
be like
entails.
the old, God, what was the name of that? Was it Hercules stunt show at Universal where he fell through the roof?
Oh, it was the Conan. Was it Conan?
Conan the Barbarian,
Yeah, where he comes.
Yes.
Yeah. Conan. Yeah. See.
We're already a stunt show. Let's make it
See?
a stunt show.
You never know what's going to happen. But
At the rate this thing is growing, my goodness. Who knows what we're
fun
gonna do.
stuff. Good stuff.
Can we get a fire permit for 2019?
Jesus.
We
There they go on
We
fire.
better start now.
Oh my
Long
God.
Beach is a hard place to get a permit. for.
Yeah, we know that.
So
firsthand.
so it's exciting, and one other thing that I do want to again, it's one of those drums we want to beat over and over again is parking.
Yes.
Parking is challenging.
Yes, it is.
Anybody that goes to any major convention kind of knows that parking's going to be. You're not going to roll up to Comic-Con when it's about an hour away from starting and find any parking in San Diego.
Yeah.
And also expect to be somewhere
Right.
close to the front of the line either.
Right. So people will complain, "Oh, the parking is horrible." Well, the doors open at 11 and you showed up at 10:45.
Yep.
Of course, parking is going to be a pain. So you know what we tell people? We're telling people this year, look, fans are coming. There's a whole ton of you coming, and a lot of you are coming in cars. So get there early.
Yeah, there's
there
a
are
lot of
restaurants across the way.
breakfast places right
have
across the
breakfast.
street.
Roll in like at 8:00. You know, if you have your Gold Bat Pass, one of the things that we're also doing with the Gold Bat Pass is those weekend pass holders, they also get into the show floor and Hall of Shadows an hour early before anybody else. So doors for Gold Bat will be at 10:00. And then general public at 11. So you know what? If you're that hardcore that you're going to be, then just do it. You get there, you park with no problem. You have breakfast across the street. You come across. You just plan it out. Just plan ahead. And if you don't do that, well, you know what? There's satellite parking around. You can park at the Village. 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
Park at one of your hotels if you're going to stay. A lot of the hotels are within walking distance.
Isn't there still a bus that does the circuit around town?
There could be, but they could get caught in traffic too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you know what? Lyft or Uber in and have them drop you off 2 blocks, 3 blocks away and hike in.
Yeah.
I mean, there are ways to do this. Just be smart about how you're going to do this. Because one thing I can tell you, it's guaranteed, is parking is going to be challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Long Beach. Parking is challenging no matter what
that's
you do.
the polite way of saying parking is going to suck.
Yeah.
So any event, parking is a challenge, right?
It is.
So
Absolutely.
no different for ours with 20,000 of you coming.
Or better yet, just get a hotel room and
There you go.
park your car and
that's
walk
right,
over.
and walk.
They have been building a lot of stuff down there. I think they actually built a new parking structure in the area.
They're building all sorts of stuff down
Yeah.
there. But it's like the freeways here in Southern California. As fast as they can expand them, they're already gridlocked again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people coming, so just plan ahead and, be smart about it, really.
Treat it like a day at Disneyland. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. You plan
Roll
to
in
get there
early,
early,
of course.
and plan to stay there late.
You bet.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Wear comfy shoes,
You know,
bring
especially
snacks.
if you're going to do Midsummer Scream After Dark, get a hotel within walking distance, and that way you can stumble back to your room. You don't have to worry about how you're going to drive, who's going to drive, how you're going to get home
We've
safely.
always threatened to do that. This year may be
You
the
know?
year we actually do.
So it's
Now
just
that we live
easy.
farther away, I think we are actually going to
It's easy.
do it.
Because, boy, Sunday morning's rough. Oh, it's rough for all of us. That's a rough one
is.
Sunday morning, you know?
And being able to get an
hard.
extra hour or two of sleep.
Yeah,
is
heck
great.
yeah.
And then it's kind of like, I love having a hotel room because I feel like it's communal because people can meet you at the room. And you can kind of like, not
After
pregame
party.
with alcohol, but like you pregame on excitement.
And get kicked out, Casey. That's a great plan, man.
If it's a Decay Brigade after party, we will get kicked out.
Oh my God, that cannot ever happen. Yeah,
No.
you guys will be sleeping in cars. That'll be
We'll be
the end
sleeping
of
on
that.
the street.
Yeah, that'll be
Make it to
the end
car.
of that. Yeah. But
That's after fun.
no, but great fun, and just like I said, be thorough and be smart about your planning about getting there. There's public transportation, metro lines. I mean, there are ways, folks, to do it and do it well, and you're going to have a great time. We're going to put on a hell of a show for you guys, and like I said, we're excited to have you guys part of it. And,
I'm excited to be there.
It's crazy knowing that we're wrapping a podcast here, and like the next time we talk, Midsummer Scream will be a memory.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
It's going to go by in a flash.
Well,
That's
hopefully
crazy,
we'll
right?
see you at the show.
You'll see me
I think
at
I
the show.
saw you
We
once
see you
or
at
twice.
Loden.
Buzzing by. You see me when you're practicing.
For sure at Loden, and then maybe once. I think I saw you once on Saturday.
Buzzing by really fast. Yeah.
We made
it's
eye
crazy.
contact for like a half a second, and you were gone.
It's
Like,
it's insane. It goes by so fast. You know, when you're running these shows.
We'll have to schedule a quality check.
Dude, it's crazy. There you go. Yeah. It's just insane. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure, afterwards. And so that's it. You guys have a great Midsummer Scream, you guys.
Yeah, you
you
too.
have a great Midsummer Scream. You have
All
a
right.
lot to be proud of and a lot to look forward to.
Well, thank you guys for being a part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining
right.
us today.
Here we